And welcome back for the second episode of Trackside Northeast. I'm Joe Cortese. Thanks for joining us again. We got to get right to it. It was a great weekend over at Seekonk Motor Speedway. They had the modifieds come in. I mean, they had so much going on. We had a little bit to deal with the weather, but it was a good call over there by switching that race from Saturday to Sunday, giving the opportunity. I mean, Rhode Islanders, everyone else, we can't luck out with the rain on the weekends right now. It's been tough. So, Jillian, let's bring in that video. We were able to get down there. It was a great time over there. And the late models champion, Luke LeBrun, he wins the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts late model division. That's his second of his career. Scott Serdinsky Jr. in that number 22. He got the Sportsman's division. He snags the second win of the season as well. And it was Serdinsky, Colby Lambert, Josh Gerard, Jeremy Lambert, and Adam Petty. They ring that out. And then we got to get over to the Sportsman. They have those trucks. The Sportsman Series is coming back Saturday, June 7th. They got a 25-lap main event. That is this Saturday. But we got to give it out to Jake Veneta. He got his win in the first one in that number 29 for the sports truck division. I actually just got a chance to speak with Jake's brother Josh yesterday. We're hoping to get him to the show around July, but what a day to get out there over at Seekonk Speedway. A lot of fans out there. Unfortunately, we probably would have saw him more if it was happening on Saturday, but it was a good time. I got a chance to meet so many people. I mean, just going around the track and being able to talk to people that, I've either met when I was younger and, I was didn't have a beard back then. I was a wild child running around, but it was a great time getting out there. A lot of fans out there, a lot of people excited about this show. We're working on who we're going to bring in and how we're going to do it. Coming up later in the segment, we are going to bring in Carlito Mello. He is the Spec Drag champion over from 2024, and he's got a lot of community connections, and that was what this show was all about. So let's bring up video number 2, and we'll get over to Carlito in a little bit, but we have got to talk about the J&R Precast 150, the modified tour coming in. Early on the race, couple cautions, start off a little slow, but then we saw some clean laps, and man, it was a tight finish out there. So we had a little bit of a pile up in the final lap, but as race fans out there, we love to see the aggressive driving and everyone trying to get out there. But Matt Hirschman, he got another win at Seekonk. He had the full sweep, good practice out there. He got the pole, and that's his third consecutive win on the modified tour at Seekonk. And he actually spoke about the car being a little torn up after the North Wilkesboro race back there, but his team was able to come through, get it together, and it was just a blast down there, being able to hear those engines and get out there. A couple people to look out for. You want to look out for Tyler Berry. He's a young rookie driver to keep an eye on. And I actually I got to talk about social media. Facebook, what a connection I've made with a lot of people. Now, I will give you my email. I teased it last week, and I forgot to do it. I apologize. But, Facebook's just been blowing up. There's so many people who want to get on the show, want to be a part of it, and we will get there. We'll get there. There's a lot of things going on, but I got a chance to speak with Ken Zakem over there. He's the crew chief for Matt Zakem in that number 20, and he's showing me his setup on Facebook, and I'm like, man, we definitely have to get over there. So I urge all you fans out there, if you're on Facebook or any other, follow those any other social media platforms. Follow those NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour fan page. I mean, they have everything you need to know, especially if you're new to the sport and you want to see how this community works. But we'll come back right after this break, and we'll talk a little bit with Carlito Mello and, his family connections and how he's been a part of this. It's actually quite funny. There's always a story in Rhode Island or southern New England in general. I found out he's from a little town up in Uxbridge, and I'm from Upton, and I actually played football with his cousin in high school. So we're going to do a full circle. We'll be back in less than a couple minutes, and we'll have more on the other side. Welcome back. Joe Cortese here. We are joined by Carlito Mello. Carlito, it is a pleasure finally getting a chance to meet you, talk to you. You were actually one of the first people to talk to me on Facebook and reach out and being like, hey, I want to be on the show. But, we got a lot to get to. I mean, we talked a little bit before the break. I mean, your girlfriend sings the national anthems before every race, and you get out there, drag spec champion in 2024. I mean, just starting off, how did you get into racing, and where did you come from? Where all these things? I need the whole layout, social security number, bank counts, everything you got for me. But now, how'd you start and get into racing, and where have you gotten now?
So probably about 8 years ago, I first learned about Seekonk Spec Drags Series, and I don't know where I saw it, but I decided I was going to give it a shot. I've raced at the drag strip before, and I wanted to, give the Seekonk Speedway Spectator Drags Series a shot. Going around the 3rd mile oval intrigued me, so I went there, did my first race, got lucky, and went to the next round, and just been hooked ever since.
I mean, it's pretty simple to get hooked when as soon as you hear a loud car and you start getting out there. So tell me, how is driving around Seekonk? I mean, we see modifieds out there, we see trucks, but I mean, you have a couple different vehicles I think you've driven around there, but how is it going around there? And, what do you get that feeling when you're heading out there and, getting out there trying to get a win?
So one of the most important things out there is, it's only a third of a mile oval. So, you got to get off the line quick and get going fast. If you're behind the guy in corner 1 or 2, you got a lot of catching up to do. So I've been out there in a couple different cars, never anything competitive till last year. And it's just a blast. I mean, being down there in the center with thousands of people watching you race, the pressure's on. I still get nervous every time, and I've been doing it on and off for like 6 years.
Now, do you go through, before the nerves set in, do you get kind of like that? Because I've talked to a lot of different drivers sometimes. Sometimes it just kind of becomes a little more quiet when you're going. Not quiet as in you don't hear the engine, but, you get into your own zone. You ever get that feeling?
Yeah, totally. I'm always nervous when I'm watching everybody else go, but once I get up to that light, it's game time. I just zone in, feel the pedals of the car, get it into gear, watch that light, and just everything else fades away. It's great. It's a great escape from reality. For those 18 seconds I'm going around the track, I'm feeling like Dale Earnhardt.
Oh, that's good too, because there's actually that documentary just came out. That's on my list. I got to see that one.
You have to.
I was a big Junior fan growing up, so I mean, I would love to see. I mean, that's been a long time coming too, waiting to get around that. I mean, we were talking about a couple different, segments they got going on different streaming devices, but we're going to talk a little bit more about the culture and family ties around here. I mean, Carlito, we were just talking about it. Before you even started racing, you went down to Seekonk and got a chance to just meet people and walk through the pits. Tell me a little bit about that and that family community around there.
Yeah, so my first race there was like 6 years ago. I never had any consistent or competitive car. Sometimes when I was in between cars, I would just go down and watch and, film some of my favorite people to race, like Joe DeFarius, John Johnson, Mike Vincent. I would just take videos of them racing and then meet up with them in the pits after and talk about it and have fun, meet the guys. And then, they just become familiar faces. And once I did my full season last year, it was just going down to hang out with your friends. It's almost like a second family down there. You go out there, have a fun time with your friends, and it's a good community down there. As for any division, I mean, I'm sure the sportsmen and the truck guys, they're all like family there. They all know each other. They're all out there just to have fun.
And that's the whole goal of it, is to have fun, get out there, enjoy it. Now, we have to talk a little bit about, obviously, not a full-time job. We don't get paid like the Cup Series out there when you're winning and everything. So we really want to talk. Me and Kyle Souza hit it last week on, a lot of these guys, blue-collar workers, and you get your ins and outs and go through. So when you got into the sport and you got into racing in general, and actually I want to bring up a little bit of his video, Jillian, and some photos of you over here. There's your big shot right there, 2024 Spectator Drags Track champion. And so what do you got running there? What's that? What was that one? What was the championship car?
It's a 1990 Eagle Talon TSI, so it's an all-wheel drive 4-cylinder turbo car. Not really common to be seen out there. A lot of people have raced these cars with the same engine for a long time, but the field is dominated by V8s. But, whatever you're out there in, as long as you're having fun. I've gone there in, just old pickup trucks, whatever, just to get photos on track. It's a good time,
Yeah, I noticed you got a GoPro on some of these. Do you have your own social media channel you try to push it?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram page dedicated to my racing. It's called CC. Oh man,
Hey, don't worry. We can always look it up when you use our phone. So we'll grab that right at the end of the show and everything. But when you get a chance to show it off on social media, we were talking about how you found out through the show through Facebook and shares and everything else. So run me through that a little bit.
Yeah, Seekonk Speedway shared that this new program, Trackside Northeast, was coming out, and it totally intrigued me because I'm really connected with the guys down there at the track. The people in the pit who run the show, the owner of the track. My girlfriend sings the national anthem there, so it's like a whole big thing. I went there last weekend and watched the modified racing, and it's just it's awesome. There's nothing like the power of social media. Get people out there. I got a couple friends who have done the racing themselves just from watching me do it. So more people out there having fun, the better.
Exactly. And we were really trying to talk about a lot of this. I mean, I was walking around all day Sunday and just hearing from every generation. You have these different generations, these different people who come in. I mean, you can look all up and down. I mean, there are racers who have been there, who hang out. There are ones who bring in their family and the kids, most importantly. You see a lot of kids out there. How does it make you feel when you're riding around Seekonk and you get a chance to see the kids, cheering you on or maybe looking at their iPad? You never know. But
Well, actually, last week, 2 weeks ago, when I raced last, I was messaged on Facebook by a woman, and she said that her son says I'm her favorite racer, and he can't pronounce my name, so he just calls me Marshmallow. But I actually got together with them down at Hudson Speedway, where I went up to take a trip and do some racing, and I gave him a little Polaroid photograph of my car, and I got to meet the kid. He was probably like 5, 6 years old, and it's just inspiring because the kids are going to be the future. If you can get them into racing and doing it the right way instead of going out on the street, get your license at 16 and start acting up, you're going to learn quick that it's not a good thing to do. You want to get out there and do it legally. There's plenty of venues. If you go support your local short track, it'll stay open, so make sure you get down there and watch the show or be a part of it.
yeah, and there's a lot of shows. I didn't even get a chance to mention the Crown Vic series. You got a brother by the name of Tyrese, I believe it is. Yeah, so
Yep.
so he's getting. So did you get him into that, or did he just kind of jump on the bandwagon?
A little bit. I mean, him and his family have been, his side of the family, his wife and their grandparents and such, they've been coming out to watch me for years. I mean, even before I started winning, they would come out and watch me lose in round one. We'd talk in the stands. And this Crown Vic series is a great entry-level series for just the common man to get into. Go pick up a Crown Vic from your local police auction or junkyard or anything, strip it down, and you can get into a real division where you turn multiple laps. The Spectator Drags is one lap, one shot, get out there and go. But with the Crown Vic division, you can feel just like Earnhardt, like I was saying, for a cheap budget. It's a good time. There's lots of different things you can choose from.
Now, tell me, how does it feel when you finally get out there and, we talk about family connections, all these things, but, blue collar side of things, this isn't your full-time job. So what else do you do besides this? I mean, obviously you got to work on the car a little bit. If it gets banged up, you got to make some modifications, but tell me a little bit about your life outside the track that kind of brings you back to it.
So I'm actually a private auto broker. So basically I sell cars for people. People are too busy, work a full-time job, don't have the patience to deal with people on Facebook Marketplace. So, even some of the guys from the track, we're all family there. We all got our own jobs, our own families and such. And they want to help out any way they can. If something's broken on my car, they want to help fix it. If they got a car they want to sell, they'll hire me to sell it because they know, it makes sense for them, save them some time and headaches, and keeps me on the track racing. So that's what I do.
Now, hey, there's always a connection, and we were talking about it earlier. So Mike Sewell, hope you're watching. Friend of mine back at Nipmuc High School up in Upton, Massachusetts. I just found out that Carlito is from Uxbridge, Mass, which was kind of crazy how you always make that connection. And just, we talk about family connections, we talk about race connections and everything else. I mean, how does it feel when your girlfriend's out there singing the national anthem? You're like, I got to win this. Because I don't know, does she tell you like, hey, you got to win it or else, I'm taking the car and you're walking home?
Yeah, she definitely does. She's fully supportive of my racing passion. We watch the videos of me racing every time. I'll watch them in slow motion, figure out what I did wrong. One thing she tells me is close that door and hold that line, which means, when you get in front of somebody, you kind of want to like stay in front and, race your own race. You want to do it at your pace, pay attention to the other guy, but just zone out, race your race, and just have fun with it. I got a lot of friends and family who are supportive of my passion. No matter what your passion is, if it makes you happy, it's worth putting the time, money, and effort into.
Yeah, and it's it's one of those things too. It's it comes with a lot of money. I mean, you've probably done some work on your car and everything. What's more of the expensive side of things that you want to avoid outside of obviously the engine and a couple other things? But what's the worst thing that you've ever had, like that's ever broken on your car that you've had to fix and get it ready to get back on the track?
Oh man, I've been dealing with transmission issues. With an all-wheel drive car, you're launching it. I'm doing the 60 foot in 1.7 seconds, 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. That's like supercar speeds at times, you know, so there's a lot of shock on the drivetrain, you know. That's the difference between the spectator drags and something like, you know, just normal circuit racing. Normal circuit racing, you get a rolling start. There's not much stress on the drivetrain. It's more stress on the engine. But when you're going from 0 to, you know, flying out, it's a lot of stress on the drivetrain. So definitely transmissions is a big issue for me. But I've got a great team behind me. You know, I work on my car when I can. I got, you know, people from the track always trying to help me out. Mike Vincent, he used to race there. He'll help me out with anything. The guy I bought my car off of, funny enough, he has the same last name as me, Zach Mello. He always comes in to help out. I mean, we've done transmission swaps the day of race events and gone out there and just get after it, you know.
Got to make sure, and that's the thing. You have to be surrounded by people that A, have the same desire with you, but B, are willing to put in the work, because it's no small change trying to put something together and get out there. But I actually want to call it, Jillian, let's bring up video 1 again and throw some up here. I want to switch gears and talk a little bit more about just like Seekonk and what it offers. I mean, they have the Crown Vic Series. You've got all your different divisions in racing, but the Thrill Show, we got to talk a little bit about that. Have you ever been involved in the Thrill Show, or what's kind of your connection there?
So the thrill shows, it's a mix of spectator drags and then what they call enduro racing, which is, you know, anybody. I mean, if you can't do the spec drags or the Crown Vic Series, enduros, you can just pick up any car from the junkyard or anywhere, strip it completely, and they put, you know, 10, 20, 30 cars out on track, just regular cars, Honda Civics, anything's out there, kind of bumping and rubbing, real-time racing. There's a lot to offer. I've been in the thrill shows. I've actually tried the enduros once. It's a bit more scary than spectator drags, but I want to get my foot in the door to, you know, graduating into something bigger like the Sportsman's, Legends of Racing, you know. There's something for everybody out there. It's truly a great time.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many divisions and so many things that you can get into if you want to hang out, if you want to just learn more about racing, if you want to get involved with maybe working on helping out Carlito with his car at any point in time. You know, you just hop in and get it going. But I mean, Carlito, last question I really have for you is, you know, it starts off kind of young. That's really, you know, where we get it from. And, you know, you get to that point where you go to the race, you get hooked on it. From somebody who kind of started up, where do you go from there? If somebody was interested to get into racing, I mean, I show up at the track and all of a sudden, you know, I'm 5, 6, 7 years old and I completely fall in love with it. Where do you go from there? I mean, just, is it make the community connection, or is it, you know, is there another path that you take?
So the good thing about short tracks around here like Seekonk Speedway is you can get a pit pass and you can actually get up close and personal with some of your favorite drivers, their cars, all sorts of things like that. So you can, you know, the best thing to do is just come to events, meet people, talk to them. Everyone's always going to want to talk about their cars. It's you know, it's their pride and joy. It's their passion. Just get out there and learn. You know, there's a plethora of videos on the internet nowadays. We're truly blessed to be a part of this, you know, generation that has all this technology at our disposal. You got to take advantage of it. You know, you can meet and talk to people from thousands of miles away. I've had people help diagnose issues with my car from over the phone. You know, you got to get out there and, you know, experience it for yourself. If you're into cars, make friends with people who are into cars, and just, it's a great time, honestly. Get on out to Seekonk Speedway, support your local short track, because if you don't, it won't be there.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things that we were talking about kind of at the beginning of the show. Not here, but the first episode we had was just, you know, we talk about how much has changed over the history. You can go from the Cup Series all the way down and everything in between. But the problem is, you know, things change. Economy changes. People have a tough time. But, I mean, bang for your buck, you get out there, free parking, you get community around there. Yeah. There's so much that offers, and really to keep these short tracks alive. I mean, we saw North Wilkesboro come back, A, on the Cup Series, but B, on like Whelen Modifieds just a couple years ago, and it's like that lay dormant for so long, and you don't want to allow that to happen to a lot of the short tracks, especially in New England, because New England racing, I mean, people from here, you know about it, but people down in the South, they're like, you know, New England racing, what about that? But there's a lot to it, and there's a lot around. The only difference is we just can't race 365 days out of the year.
Right.
We have a thing called Mother Nature.
Yeah, but, you know, you can take the off season to, you know, take time for yourself, work on your car. The winter is kind of a blessing in disguise because, you know, there are people who come out of the woodwork. You know, this year I've seen some new faces at the track. People, you know, are coming back after not doing it for some years. it's truly a great time. I can't say it enough.
It really is. It's a good time. But anything else you want to hit? I know I've been throwing everything under the sun at you for questions-wise, but, part of this show is just getting to know the guests we bring in and finding out their local ties and the connections they get in the community. You were a perfect example. When you first reached out to me, I was working on a couple different people to bring in, but my mind went, you have all the little things that I'm looking for. You're from the area, you work on your own stuff. You got already a championship underneath. Your girlfriend's sitting there singing the national anthem. I mean, like, how much more like Seekonk can you get?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the best part is it's grassroots. You don't need a whole bunch of money to get out and do this. It gets your foot in the door. You never know where you could go from here. I mean, even, I know people who race RC cars or race go-karts. Just if you're into the hobby, you can do anything. I mean, from any scale. I mean, you were mentioning that your father collects Matchbox. I mean, that's even that's a car-related hobby in and of itself. If you can't afford a Lamborghini, you can afford a 1/64 scale of one. It's just you got to come out and try it. Even if you just come and watch, what's the worst that can happen? It's $20-$30 for 4 hours of real action entertainment. It's just a live action.
Action Track the East. That's why they call it that.
Exactly.
Well, Carlito, I want to appreciate you coming in, and we'll get more we'll grab your social media right at the end, and I'll make sure to tease that in our last segment. We'll be back in less than 2 minutes, and we'll talk a little bit about what's coming up, where the modified series is going, what's coming up in Seekonk this weekend, a couple ins and outs, but Carlito, I appreciate you. And we're back here at Trackside Northeast. That was a great little interview. I wanted to bring in different people. We were just talking about maybe bringing in, a father and son who got into racing. I mean, there's so many different levels that we can go with this and so many different things. So right off the bat, we're going to go right back to the Whelen Modified Series. So they're heading out to Riverhead Raceway. That's over in New York. They'll be out there on June 14th. And then, they hit a couple different spots. They're not coming back to Seekonk, unfortunately. I wish we could get more than one race, but, they'll be hitting Monadnock Speedway, Richmond, Thompson. They'll be hitting all those. So we'll have a little bit on that, but let's bring up the graphic for Seekonk. This weekend, we have a good weekend in store. Another one back. You have the Scout Night, bringing in the whole family and get all the favorites out there. So you'll have the Pro Stocks, Late Models, Sportsmen, Sports Trucks, and the Spectator Drags. Those are fun. And gates open up around 4 p.m. I think the racing starts around 6. Like I mentioned before, free parking, bang for your buck. You get out there and just get a chance to meet. I met so many folks this weekend. It's just, obviously I'm holding a camera and I have a bright red shirt on, so I'm not recognizable running around and everything because everyone's like, oh, who's the guy with the camera? But it was just great meeting with folks. I mean, I hadn't seen some of these people in forever, and, I was a little kid. And then meeting new people and hearing about they were so happy about, oh, this is great, what we're doing for the sport, how we're doing it. And, we are green. This is an early start to this process. We'll be able to bring it through, but I was able to get the video all set and bring everything out through. Actually, I want to bring up, I think the second video, or was it? No, it was the second video. Again, it was so much fun getting out there and just meeting a lot of the people on the Whelen Modified Tour. I didn't get a chance to meet everyone. I've had a lot of connections with my mother and grandmother who've been saying, hey, you got to connect with this person and that person, and we will get around to all that, but it was just a good time getting out there and seeing it all. I mean, late racing, you had that caution with, I think it was about 4 to go. They had 2 or 3 to go at the end, and, a little bit of a spin out, but it's always great to get out there and see, because you never know what driver is going to end up where, how they're connected, and, what division they can get into. But coming up, we don't have anything on the CW this weekend for the Xfinity race. They're off for a couple weekends, but this show, I do not know exactly when it is going to air. I believe it's going to be maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday. There's a lot of changing parts right now, but we'll get it out on social media, and I'm going to create a page on this, so if you get a chance, we'll be able to follow that page. But real quick, Jillian, if we could bring up my email. This is my email because social media sometimes gets a little overwhelming. I sometimes can't handle it. That's my own problem, but I'll figure it out eventually. But that's my email right there. Okay, I'm off Thursdays and Fridays. I occasionally like to throw my phone away and go into the woods or do absolutely nothing, and everyone understands that when you get on your weekends. But if you need anything, you have any questions, comments, or you have an idea of somebody to bring in, I mean, we have a list of people, but, there's certain topics I want to hit early on. I want to make sure I try to hit every division and get stories from everybody under the sun around here that has to do with auto racing in the Northeast. So Joe Cortese at WPRI.com. Shoot me an email, and if you can, in the subject line, because this is obviously a second little part-time job I have for this because I'm actually, I do news, reporting, anchoring, and everything else. So just put in the slug line or the subject line like Trackside Northeast or, anything that you can put in there that will pop out to me because we get a lot of press releases and everything else. But we got to go. I'll see you here next week, hoping to get a couple more faces on this show. But I hope you have a great rest of your day. Be safe, be well, most importantly, be kind, and get out to Seekonk Speedway this weekend if you get a chance. Have a good one.